All right, well, Proverbs chapter 10, this one is a little more geared to men, if you will. They're more the subject of this one as far as a good son is a good thing for a family. But I really believe we can change the gender on this chapter as well, and it still provides value for women, how to be better as women as well. So look forward to your comments if you think about that, what kind of aha moments it maybe gives you as you think about these things. So let's get into here. Verse 1, the Proverbs of Solomon. A wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother. It's interesting, they switch mother-father on there, that a wise son is a glory to dad, but a foolish son is heaviness to mom. So I think in a way there's some understanding there that, obviously the dad's going to be sad that his son was foolish, but moms will probably take it as a bigger problem that their son is foolish because they love their son. They have more connection with their son, want to do more with him. So it's just kind of an interesting analogy that shows up in there as well. Verse 2, treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivereth from death. I think that's pretty good. Do I want to be wealthy or do I want to live forever? Something to think about. So that's kind of what verse 2 is talking about, basically, is understanding that wickedness is temporary and wickedness can cause us to have death. Now, of course, wickedness can make us physically dead, and wickedness can make us, more importantly, spiritually dead, meaning we're not allowed to go back to return to our Father in heaven. So that is important. So righteousness delivers us from death. If we are righteous, we can overcome those things. If we don't, we're going to be in trouble. So we've got to watch out for that. Now, verse 3, the Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but he casteth away the substance of the wicked. So if you are righteous, God is going to feed you. He's going to help you. He doesn't want you to starve. He wants to give you resources and sustenance to help you. But that requires you to have righteousness. The more righteous we are, the more God will bless us. That's supremely important in there to understand. Verse 4, he becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent make rich. This is a good analogy as well of even productivity here. A slack hand, we could say, is somebody who's not working. They're not putting forth a lot of effort, so he becometh poor. If you don't work, you're not going to have things. Whereas people who are diligent, people who are working, who are productive, who are moving forward, have the ability to be more economically mobile or rich, basically. Makes sense. That makes total sense. Now, verse 5, he that gathereth in summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in harvest is a son that causeth shame. So you want to think about this, okay? Why would you gather in the summer? Well, you are preparing for winter. What happens if you sleep through the harvest? Harvest is usually end of the season. You are gathering in everything you can before winter comes and everything dies back. And so rather than wait for harvest, a wise son is going to start harvesting and gathering and preparing in the summer while you're still growing. It's getting ready for things, and then the harvest, you're going to harvest. But if you sleep through the harvest, you're going to lose what you've grown, and you're not going to be prepared for winter. So being prepared is an important principle of the gospel. Not just physically or temporally prepared, but if you are prepared, you will weather the storms. If you are financially prepared, you will weather financial storms. If you are spiritually prepared, you are keeping the commandments, you're studying the gospel, you are praying, you're going to church, you're doing the things that God has asked of us, you will be prepared when spiritual challenges come your way. Very important point. Okay, verse 6, blessings are upon the head of the just, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. So remember, in Proverbs, we have this kind of back and forth switch that happens in some of these as well, and they're providing a contrast for us to think about. So blessings are on the head of the just, and then violence covers the mouth of the wicked. So if violence is covering your mouth, something is preventing you from speaking, and that is violence. There's things going on, chaos and things going on that are preventing you from improving. Whereas if you are just, you are going to improve faster. So think about this as an accelerator in there. We're not talking about a linear curve here. We're talking more of an exponential curve. So the more righteous you are, then the more blessings you get, and the faster you can go up in your righteousness. The more wicked you are, the faster you go down, and the harder it is to become righteous. You've got a lot more to overcome. It is possible to overcome. I'm not saying you're lost. Most people feel like they're really super wicked, and in reality, they're just barely wicked. They just, to their perspective, it seems like a major chasm, but in reality, God's going, that's not that bad. I can help you overcome that. Work with me, and we'll get you back. So that's important to think about. Now, verse 7, the memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. So the righteous will be remembered, the wicked will not. Now, this isn't literal necessarily, because we know in history, we know a lot of wicked people in history. They were pretty powerful people, and they wrote history books. But it's important to realize that when it comes to God, we're going to remember the righteous, and we're going to ignore the wicked people and get rid of them. Verse 8, the wise in heart will receive commandments, but a prating fool shall fall. So those who are willing to receive instructions and guidance to be better are going to be wise. They're going to be improved. Those who aren't willing to are going to have lots of problems. Verse 9, he walketh uprightly, walketh surely, but he that perverteth his ways shall be known. So if you walk upright, if you walk with honesty and integrity in what you're doing, there's no falsehoods about you, you're walking truthfully, you're going to be great. But if you wander and you're hunched over and you're hiding things and concealing stuff and doing all these other weird things to prevent people from knowing who you really are, you're going to have problems. Let's see, verse 10, he that winketh with the eye causeth sorrow, but a prating fool shall fall. Now, that one's kind of, that one almost doesn't make much sense. And I'm sure in the Hebrew language, that one makes a lot more sense. I haven't read the Hebrew Bible to see what that one is. So if you've read it or understand that interpretation in Hebrew, let us know in the comments. I look forward to seeing that from you. Verse 11, the mouth of a righteous man is a well of life, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. Now that's the second time we've seen that idea, violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. Violence silences wickedness. They keep them from speaking the truth. Okay, not just killing them and getting them out of the way. Violence is the chaos of wickedness keeps the wicked from speaking the truth. So it means it makes it harder for them to be truthful. When they go, again, that's that amp modifier that just makes it go down faster. So, but righteousness is a well of life. It takes off and does better. Now, verse 12, hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covereth all sins. So hatred, anger, pride stir people up. That's contention, dealing with contention. But when you show love to other people, you're willing to look past the challenges. And I think you can look at this like the love of Christ covereth your sins. When you love Christ, and he definitely loves you, and you accept his love, he can then cover your sins. He can help you overcome those, basically. Verse 13, in the lips of him that hath understanding, wisdom is found, but a rod is for the back of him that is void of understanding. So if you are willing to learn and improve yourself, that's great. If not, the laws will be used against you. Basically, that's beating with a rod, hitting you in the back with a stick. The laws are going to force you. You're going to bump into these laws and they're going to hurt. Whereas if you are somebody with wisdom, if you're willing to learn, if you have humility, willing to understand that I might not know everything and I need to be better, you're going to go and have a much better time getting where you need to go versus fighting against it. Verse 14, wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. Very interesting analogy. Again, we can look at the contrast between these two ideas. Wise men lay up knowledge, but fools are going to have more problems, basically, because they're not learning. I heard once there are three kinds of people in this world, the foolish people who don't learn from even their own mistakes. They just keep remaking mistakes all the time, never really getting ahead. There are smart people who learn from their own mistakes. Then there are wise people who learn from other people's mistakes, how not to make that mistake. So you can get further ahead if you learn from other people's mistakes, not just have to make them yourself. So verse 15, the rich man's wealth is his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. So this contrast of wealth and poverty is holding us back. The wealth is protecting the rich. The poverty is why the poor are being destroyed. They don't have the resources to get healthy. They don't have the resources to defend themselves. So their poverty creates this negative downward effect on each other and makes it even harder for doing all kinds of things. Whereas when you're wealthy, you have a lot of assets. You have a lot of resources and things you can work with. So that doesn't necessarily mean being wealthy is the ultimate goal, but realizing it's that allocation of resources. Verse 16, the labor of the righteous tendeth to life. The fruit of the wicked is sin. So if you are righteous, you want to improve life. You want to have a better life and help other people have a good life and bettering the society around you. If you're wicked, you are going to have sin and problems, which is more pride and selfishness. This is that Master Mahan principle coming in as well. So you want to think about that. Verse 17, he is in the way of life that keepeth instruction. But he that refuseth reproof erreth. That was a hard one to think about. Holy cow. A little bit of a tongue twister in there. So he that refuseth reproof erreth. So if you are in the way of life, it's because you've been told, nope, don't go that way, come back. Oh, no, don't go that way, come back. Okay, I'm getting guidance and to help me to stay where I need to be. But if you push back on that guidance and go, whatever, I'm not going to listen to you, then you're going to err and go off and have problems. Verse 18, he that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. Now this is one, we don't do the double thing, but kind of both together basically. In fact, McConkie made a comment about this verse. In fact, he said, slander is of the devil. The very word devil itself comes from the Greek diabolos, which means a slanderer. It is natural, therefore, that slanderous reports against the church have their origin, most generally, among those who are living carnal and sensual lives, whose conduct is such as to cause them to be guided and dominated by Lucifer. So, McConkie is a pretty opinionated guy, but he had a lot of good wisdom to say on things too. And so realizing that if we slander, if we're trying to ruin other people's lives with our words, that's not good. That's not coming from God at all. So be careful when you try to say bad things about your neighbors or your friends or coworkers or family. None of that's coming from God. You need to be better than that. Verse 19, in the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. The tongue of the just is as choice silver. The heart of the wicked is little worth. The lips of righteous feed many, but fools die for want of wisdom. So it's interesting, all three of these verses here, 19, 20, 21, use this idea of mouth and heart to teach. So multiple words wanteth not sin. He that refraineth his lips is wise. So learning to understand that sometimes it's best to not talk. Be careful what you say. Controlling your mouth is the most important thing to control. If you can control your mouth, you can control anything. It's so important. Do not let your mouth get you into trouble is really what this is getting into, is really what it says. So, okay, let's jump forward here. Verse 22, the blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. So God blesses us. He helps us in our lives. Now, make us rich, not as to the things of this world, but as to the things to help us have abundance in our life and take care of this life and the next life. Verse 23, it is a sport to a fool to do mischief, but a man of understanding hath wisdom. So again, people who are foolish love to do sneaky things. They love to be cynical and have problems with other people and tease other people and harass or bully other people because they think it's fun. They think it's fun to do these dumb things that hurt other people. So just realize that again, if you start to think, oh, it's fun to be cynical, it's fun to play pranks on people and do these things that nobody else finds funny, maybe you need to rethink those ideas. Verse 24, the fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous shall be granted. God takes care of the righteous. He helps them, and he's reproving the wicked to encourage them to be righteous because he loves them, wants better for them. Verse 25, as the whirlwind passeth, so is the wicked no more, but the righteous is an everlasting foundation. So wickedness is going to come and go. It's temporary. The righteousness will never go away. It will help you because, again, that goes into the next life as well. Your righteousness will help you in the next life to be better and have a better place. Verse 26, as vinegar to the teeth and as smoke to the eyes, so is the sluggard to them that send him. So if you ever had smoke in your eyes or put vinegar in your teeth, not a good situation. The results of that combination is bad. And so that's what it says here is if somebody sends another person out to take advantage of other people and ruin other people, it's going to go bad for you too. It's not going to work out. Verse 27, the fear of the Lord prolongeth days, but the years of the wicked shall be shortened. So the respect of God, that fear of God or respect of God will help you improve your life and live longer. Verse 28, the hope of the righteous shall be gladness, but the expectation of the wicked shall perish. The way of the Lord is strength to the upright, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. The righteous shall never be removed, but the wicked shall not inhabit the earth. The mouth of the just bringeth forth wisdom, but the froward tongue shall be cut out. The lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked speaketh frowardness. So we see these two contrasting points that they bring up, showing if you go with God, you're going to get these blessings and benefits and opportunities. If you don't go with God, you're going to have problems. You're going to have more challenges, more issues, more things going on in your life that you don't want, basically is what we're getting at here. So really interesting back and forth on that. So what do you think about these as we've gone through this? What are your thoughts on these ideas? And how do you feel that you can incorporate these better and improve your own life as well? And I look forward to discussing this more in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.